In all honesty, I know better than to record this with nearly 2.5 weeks left in the year. But I definitely want to take some time and honor the athletes and celebrities that have meant so much to me as a fan, as a coach, as an Angelino. Um, and I just want to take some time and do this right now. Um, I'm sure it's going to be a growing list, and I know that over the course of the next couple of weeks, there will be additional names on this list, and that it doesn't scare me because death is just a part of what we do and what we are as people. We live and we die. And so I want to run through a few respectfully as I can, um, names and a few brief histories of some of these folks that have made a lasting impression on my life, that influence how I talk to people, walk with people, how I choose to compete in um, business and athletics, in the classroom and education. When I'm a teacher, I want the competitive statistics. As a coach, I want my team to do well. As a part of an athletic staff, I want my team to do as well, if not better, in the conference and in the regional as all of the other teams on our campus. So, with that being said, um, let's get started. Way, way, way back in January, this year seems as though it's been 5 years. This year started out like any other. There was a Super Bowl. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez performed at the Super Bowl. It was a memorable performance. J Lo's being 50 was out there full of energy, did her thing. Shakira, we hadn't seen her on a big screen in a long time, and she wrecked it. She tore it up. It was wonderful. And just after, or just before, I can't remember the order of events. I don't know what day the Super Bowl was. It's normally the first weekend in February, but somewhere right around there, a helicopter that was carrying Los Angeles Lakers basketball legend Kobe Bryant, along with 8 others, including his daughter Gianna, age 13, crashed in Calabasas, a suburb here in Southern California, en route to his Mamba basketball camp for a tournament game. He was coaching, his young lady's team, his daughter's team, and um, they traveled by helicopter, which is something that Kobe had done throughout his career. Living in Malibu, the traffic here in SoCal, if you're not familiar, guys, it can be horrendous. And so, 2+ hours a day he would have spent in the car. He figured out a way. He learned how to fly. He flew sometimes. This time he wasn't flying. They had another pilot, and it was a foggy day, and they never arrived. Um, they took off together, and they crashed together, and that was the end of a superhero in so many individuals' minds. I remember when Kobe Bryant was a 18-year-old kid coming to Los Angeles for the first time, and we saw flashes early on, but what he developed into as a young man, as a husband and father, and certainly the player, the that he became was just, um, you know, he was a monster. He was a monster on the court. But I was so excited to see what he was going to do off the court with all of his money, all of his opportunity, and uh, conceivably all of his time he had remaining. At 41, the sky was the limit. Um, and so it hurt then, it hurts now. It's every time I see one of his pictures or one of his videos and just full of life, and or especially him with his daughter or daughters, and his newborn baby. This past spring, it was a lot, and this was a heavy start to this year. We were at the time that Kobe passed, and at the time Los Angeles was mourning the loss of Kobe and his daughter. We were still praying for China, as it were, as it relates to the coronavirus, and so um, it was just devastating. Um, at that time, it seemed as though all of Los Angeles, which is where I live, all of Los Angeles was in mourning, and people had their feelings about Kobe. I mean, he wasn't nobody's perfect. Christ alone, right? Um, and people wanted to ask questions about Colorado and different things, and it's like, hey man, hey, let his wife, who let his daughters, let all of us, let us have this moment to mourn him, not question his perfection. No one is perfect. So that was definitely telling, and it was definitely a challenging moment before we began to face all of the things that 2020 would bring. um, Chadwick Boseman, actor, and outside of Omar Epps, I don't know an actor that has played as many iconic African American athletes, entertainers. He played Jackie Robinson, the great Jack Robinson of the Brooklyn Dodgers. He played James Brown, the godfather of soul. He began to produce projects and write his own films. 21 Bridges and Message from the King, I believe, is the title of the other one. And just coming out here in the next couple of weeks, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And he starred in this year Da 5 Bloods, Spike Lee joint with Delroy Lindo and several others. But of course, the film that brought him worldwide acclaim and instant forever status with brown skinned people around the world and all people around the world was Black Panther. Um, Showing up first in Captain America Civil War, um, the excitement, the glee. My son is 13 now, and when Civil War came out, I believe, I don't know if that might have been 5 years ago. I mean, he was 8 years old. And to see the Black Panther, see T'Challa on screen, you know, with Captain America, with all the other, with Falcon and, War Machine, Iron Man, Spider Man, everybody up there, and to see someone that he could immediately identify with up there, I just I'll never forget his eyes looking at the screen. And then when Black Panther came out, I mean, it did, $1.5 billion at the box office worldwide. I mean, absolutely incredible. And the response to it, and not only the response, but the way that Chadwick Boseman played the role, but also the way that he carried himself and the way that he introduced the continent to so many people. Um, there's so many people that got a chance to experience for the first time the beauty of the diaspora and the African experience. It was amazing. There was art, there was music, there was language, there was food. There was just movement. There were rhythms. There was beautiful language, ebonics, fantastic, fantastic, elevating our people in our own imaginations as scientists and philanthropists and business people and and athletes, yes, and folks and people of discipline, right? And respectful individuals and folks that wear their pants around their waist. So we'll always appreciate Chadwick Boseman. Um, the Kansas Comet, Gale Sayers. There may be no other, and there may never be someone to come into the NFL and shock the way the game is played in a 5 year span, like what Gale Sayers did. Um, Born in Wichita, Kansas, Gale Sayers in 5 full seasons, 5 seasons, um, and then suffering a tremendous knee injury, which ended his career. Nowadays people respond, they bounce back from injury almost, in a few months. They go in, they have surgery, they might have reconstructive surgery, but they're back on the court, they're back on the field. Um, and just the technology has advanced so far in such a short time, and we can only imagine what he would have been able to do with 5 more years, with you know, 7, 12 more years. He played 5 full seasons and 2 fractions, but after his playing career ended, he wrote a book that made a great impression on me, and I don't have it with me. One of the great tragedies of my book lending career is sharing I Am Third with a young man, and I'm glad that he had the book, and I'm glad I lent it to him. I just wish I'd got my book back, and so I have to order another copy. But the book title I Am Third, written by Gale Sayers. I am third, meaning my wife is first, my family is second, and I am third. And it's a tremendous read. It's an even better lesson, and it is it is a testament to the man that he was, the type of morals and character that he was raised with, and I'm so grateful that he took the time to put it together, share that masterpiece with us. Not only was he greatly gifted physically with the ability to stop and start on a dime, moving full speed, which was very rare and still is. His highlights are absolutely spectacular, but I'm so grateful that God saw fit to have him write that book as well. Man, this is heavy, man. I knew this was going to be tough, but I didn't realize it was going to hit me this hard. Just going over these names and their, impact on my life. It's amazing. I want to talk about Ms. Natalie Desselle Reid. Um, Natalie Desselle Reid, who was famous for the film Baps with Halle Berry, released in the 90s. I believe her last big role was in Medea's Big Happy Family. But I think the role that my children know her best for, and little brown girls know her best for around the world, is probably Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Whitney Houston and a very young Brandy Norwood playing Cinderella, with Natalie playing one of the stepsisters. And that film was so magical because, in typical Disney fashion, they did some non characteristic things. They cast a white king, Whoopi Goldberg, as queen. If you don't know, Whoopi is a black woman. Their son was an Asian brother. Oh, I don't know his name. I don't have the cast list in front of me. Cinderella, of course, was Brandy. She's a black woman, black young lady at the time. Her stepmother was a white woman. Natalie is a black woman, and her sister, the other stepsister, was a white woman as well. And so the cast was just Jason Alexander's in the film, and it's a wonderful film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Whitney Houston, of course, plays the godmother, and it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to just showcase how beautiful we all are, and when we're cast in society based on our ability and not on quotas, the beauty of what we can do together. Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Whitney Houston and Brandy Norwood, and Miss Natalie Desselle Reid um, in memoriam. Yeah, the great Lou Brock. When I was a child, a teenager, I think, Ricky Henderson broke the all-time base stealing record, and I only remember Lou Brock's name because it was his record that was stolen, that was broken. 938 is the number of bases um, that Mr. Lou Brock stole in his 19-year career. Um, he was a career 293 hitter, got on base, and terrified pitchers for 19 seasons. Made his Major League Baseball debut in 1961, and there was no looking back after that. So we just want to take a moment. I did not see Mr. Brock play with all of his greatness. I know he played alongside Josh Gibson, who passed as well this year. Many say the greatest pitcher of the 20th century. Many say the most terrifying pitcher of the 20th century. The argument and the debate could go on and on. It can go all night um, about he and Satchel Paige about being the greatest. Pardon me. Obviously, Bob Gibson had two of the greatest postseasons and two of the greatest postseason performances ever, and he is remembered as a champion in St. Louis, and always will be remembered as a terrifying left-handed pitcher um, who was not to be played with in any form or fashion. Yeah. I could not do this without talking about a couple of other folks significant in my upbringing. One of the most familiar tunes in all of television lore is which was played, of course, when Alex Trebek had asked the final Jeopardy question for 35 seasons. He starred as in his role as the smartest person in television, no doubt. Um, Not only did he have the cards, but he knew the answers, and he suffered recently. He's been challenged these last couple of years with this brain cancer, and ultimately he succumbed to his injuries. And but we're grateful for the work that he put in. He set a standard which people can only aspire to, and that's what we can hope for. We can only hope that we can do something in some form or fashion that can be raised next to him and say, "Hey, this is fabulous. This is fabulous. This is the type of career that you want to have." If anybody in anything, it wouldn't matter if they were in sales. It wouldn't matter if they were in, um, sales, teaching elementary school. It wouldn't make any difference. So, just want to, recognize him. Sean Connery, the baddest dude in on the big screen for many many years, was Sean Connery, starring as James Brown, the first, and for many people the only James Brown. Did I say James Brown? James Bond. James Bond. Yeah, Sean Connery, James Bond. Died at 90 years old. 2020 has been, a year of, just constant roller coaster and emotions, and we're going to talk about some other reasons for that. But Sean Connery, in October of 2020, finally took his final breath. Just this weekend, the great Charlie Pride, the known as for many years the only um, black country singer, which is a misnomer and a conversation for another time. But Charlie Pride won Country Music Awards. He was recognized since the 60s as a great, great country singer. And he's been out and around. His name has been in country music lore, 60s, 70s, 80s. And just last week, or a couple of weeks ago, pardon me, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Country Music Award, the CMA Association, and it was held at the Grand Ole Opry, and a couple of weeks later, he's gone at the age of 86. But I'm very grateful to know that he was honored, um, and he was alive and well and standing and dressed well and spoke well and able to do all of the things that we would have been wanting to see and accustomed to seeing him do prior to his passing. So I'm glad that they took the time to honor him this year, even though they had an award show in person in the midst of a global pandemic. But that's something for those people to evaluate over there. Lastly, my man Debo, um, Cal State University, LA alumni, All American in the discus and the hammer throw, Tommy, better known as Tiny Lister, passed this month at the age of 62. Um, this man was known for his girth, his power, his eye, and he had some of the most iconic roles. He played Zeus in the WWF wrestling against Hulk Hogan in the 90s. Um, they did a film together. Or I can't remember the title of Hulk Hogan's movie, but he was in that film with him. And then that character, he ran that character for a couple of good years, I think he was doing that. The film Friday, which came out in the early mid 90s, is a cult classic, and he plays the character Debo, and you know he, he played a lot of characters, and he played in the he did tons of movies, and one movie that he did in particular that didn't get a lot of I don't commercial success was One Night with the Queen, One Night with the King, pardon me, a movie about the life of Queen Esther from the Bible, and he played a small role in that film, but he was there. He did a lot of great movies, and was in one of the Batman films. I think it might have been Dark Knight Rises, and he plays the prisoner, and he ultimately takes this detonator and throws it out the window. And even though he was playing a convicted criminal, he showed himself as the person who had the most character on that ship. It was a very powerful scene, very powerful. Um, hmm. I think that I have come to the end of this list for now. I must say for now, this I'm recording this in the evening of December 13th, Sunday to December 13th, and with 18 days, with 18 days left, 17 days left in this month, I know we'll have several more. I don't want to guess at all, of course. I hope that everyone will be well, see 2021 well into that year, but I just look forward to what the remainder of this year has for us, not in celebrity deaths, but in creativity, in goal setting, in excitement, and of course in the I represent the 2%, I represent the 2% world. We look forward to sharing many, many more um, podcasts with you, many, many more um, topics. We've only just begun with this year in review series, um, and starting with these celebrity passings, and there, of course, we have much more. We have to touch on the coronavirus, COVID-19. We have to touch on the police um, discussion. I'll just leave it at that. The policing discussion. We'll get there in this year in review series. Um, the presidential election and what took place as far as the campaigning, the voter suppression, and all these good things. So we're only just getting started, guys. We're only getting started. That's why I had to get started this first year. I'm sorry, this first series of recordings at the end of the year, and get ready to dive into 2021 with both feet. All right. Hope you guys are well. Take care of your families. Wash your hands. Wear your mask in public, man. Um, we're gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have another conversation as well. It's called vaccination conversation, and that's coming up soon as well. So let's get prepared. Let's get excited. Let's share this post. Like, subscribe, share, and let's look forward to many, many more conversations. I thank you for your time. Have a good